My name is Israel Adi. We're going to do a little overview of the fire alarm panels, and I'm going to basically try to explain a couple of the in and outs with our simplex fire alarm systems. One of the things that we must keep in mind is that the simplex system is throughout the entirety of the Moody campus. All our systems are simplex fire alarm panels. And that means that they more or less work together, and there is a way to operate them that there's overlap in how they function. Today we have the simplex fire alarm system. This model particularly is a 4100 ES, and we have 4100U and other similar models like that. This system is known as an addressable fire alarm system, which basically means that initiating devices are addressable. This particular one has a little bit more capability, but by and large, that's what it means. If an initiating device, which basically is the device that initiates the fire alarm system, goes off, that address or location will appear here. It'll tell you north stairwell, second floor, and it'll show it up right here. That's what an addressable system is. We have other systems that are non-addressable, and basically it just tells you that the fire is in a zone, and you kind of have to figure out where it is in that zone. So this is an addressable fire alarm system. It's our newest system, and I'm just going to go through several key aspects of this fire alarm system that are good to know, and basically it'll give you an overview on the major components of the fire alarm system and how to operate those major components. So the first thing we have is the information. This is how you control the fire alarm system, and here on the left hand side you'll have bypasses, and what bypasses do is they'll bypass particular aspects of the fire alarm system, and we can get that into a little later on. These are your acknowledge keys. If there's a fire, this will be blinking here, and you would have to acknowledge it. So these are your acknowledgement keys. And then this is the alarm silence key, and what that key does is once you've discovered the fire or the device that was initiated, and you observe that there is no real fire, you come down here and you can silence the alarm, and that way everything goes back to silent, and there's no more horns and strobes going off. System reset, that has to do with if there is a fire and you clear it, and we'll talk about clearing fires later on. Basically, you would just come to system reset, and that'll reset the system. This is your menu key, and then this is how you navigate with these buttons. This is how you navigate inside the menu. These keys over here are for enabling and disabling a device, and we can get into that later on. And then here is arming on or disarming a device. So those are your keys. Basically, what these do are, if there's a device that you want to take offline, you disable it. If you want to bring it back online, you enable it. Arming off and disarming is if you want to trigger a device, you arm it on. If you want to disarm it, you press this disarm button. Not all devices can be enabled and disabled, so we can get into what are disabled devices that can be enabled and disabled, and the same goes for arming on and disarming. Not all devices can be controlled with these buttons. Down here, what we have is basically the command center, and through these buttons you can basically talk to the entirety of the building, or you can talk to particular floors. This has to do with your microphone here, and basically you would select a floor that you want to talk to. Say there's a situation going on the first floor or the second floor, third floor, so on and so forth. You would select the button, and that will tell you that that floor is activated to speak to. Or if you want to talk to the entirety of the building, all speaker evac, basically if you press this button, it'll set the whole building into basically an alarm. It'll mimic a fire alarm. All speaker talk is what you press if you just want to talk to the building. So you can still talk to the building here, but you have your lighting devices going off at the same. You have your lighting devices going off, and all speaker talk. You have just you're just speaking to the building, and you don't have the lights going off. You don't have the visuals going off. So that is basically the overview of the fire alarm panel. Here is how you control it's your control center, and down here is more it has to do more with speaking to the building, and it's controlled by your selection and by your use of the microphone. So another thing that we have here is basically most of these addressable panels, how you take off this cover is you press here, you squeeze inside, you press towards the middle, and it should pop off, and then you lift up, and you'll be able to take off the cover. Here we have a couple components. This is our internal power pack that basically powers up the devices in the system. Here we have our modems, and we most likely won't deal a lot with we won't mess with those other than the fact that if you are changing the fiber, this is where they plug in. This is where the fiber plugs in. Another thing that I want to show you here is these are your batteries. The fire alarm system is designed to have a battery backup just in case the power goes off, the power goes out. You have the capability for the system to continue to operate, and usually it has to operate for at least 8 hours on battery backup. And these are the batteries that are for this system. And usually the reason there's a date on here is this is the date of installation. And why that's important is because the code requires that these be replaced every 5 years. Internally here at Moody, we actually replace them every 4, just so that we're not coming up against too close to the date of replacement. The other thing that these batteries have is you have the volt and you have the amp hours. So for instance, this particular battery is 12 volt, 50 amp hour, and if you ever were to replace this battery, you would need a battery that is 12 volt, 50 amp hour, because that is the specification requirement for this particular system. And you'll go across campus, and different systems have different battery requirements, and it's because not all systems have the same capability, and not all systems are powering the same amount of devices. So please pay attention to the volt amp hour because it's not the same across the entirety of the campus. Okay, so to put this back on, you would just hover it over here, and then there's some tabs in the back that you can see. It'll grab onto the box here, and then you squeeze inside, and then you squeeze back out, and that should hold the cover back on. And then again, this is a B key, same B key across all campus is what will open your fire alarm panel. Another thing that you'll want to know is here in the overview, I just want to show you how to log in because this is universal across all of our fire alarm panels. To log in, basically, this is passcode protected, but luckily it's the same passcode for every panel. There's nothing that is different. To log into this particular panel, you would press the menu key, and then the first option that you have is change access level. And that's basically asking you, how do you want to log in? And then we hit enter. And then we hit number 1 because that's what we want to do. Log in, and then our passcode is 333. That's the same across all campus. And when we hit enter, it says access granted. That means that you have successfully logged into the fire alarm system. And what logging in does, it gives you the ability to use your bypasses. You can't use your bypasses without logging in. You can't enable or disable devices without logging in, arm or disarm devices without logging in. It also opens up other information in the menu bar, that in the menu, more categories in your main menu are opened up when you log in. So it's a good practice to log in, just because even if you're checking a trouble, or if you're checking your history of your fire alarm, you don't technically have to log in for those, but it's good to log in just because it opens up more categories in that menu. That is, I think, all that we have for the general overview. That should get you started well on your way to learning the fire alarm system. The best teacher in the fire alarm system, I think, is experience. So as we go through these videos, obviously what will be taught won't be exhaustive, but it will give you a good starting point. And as you continue to interact with the simplex systems, things will start to become more familiar, and you'll get a little bit of a hang of how the system operates. And luckily, all our systems are simplex, so there's overlap between the systems. All right, in this video, I just want to show you basically 2 types of devices that are part of the fire alarm system. There's more than that, but I just want to show you these 2 because I think that they'll be helpful in understanding how the fire alarm system works. The first is what is known as an initiating device. And basically, initiating device initiate the fire alarm system. They set the fire alarm system into alarm. So if there was a fire and I wanted to make sure that the building is evacuated, I would push this, pull down, and the whole fire alarm system will go off. This is known as an initiating device. Detectors are also initiating devices. You have smoke detectors are also initiating devices. There's things, even in Solheim they're called beam detectors. They detect smoke and basically there's a laser that's going from the detector to another piece of equipment, and if that laser is ever interrupted, it sets off the alarm. So different initiating devices do different things, but all of them, there are different types of initiating devices, but they all do the same thing. They just set the system in alarm. Up here, what we got, this is more of an announcing device. Basically, this device is an important aspect of the fire alarm system because it announces to the occupants of the building that there is a fire or a potential fire. This is considered a speaker visual because it has a speaker and then a visual. Sometimes you just have the speaker portion, sometimes you just have the visual portion. In addressable systems, it's called speaker visual. In non-addressable system, it's called horn strobe. The reason why it's called a horn strobe because it's generally a horn. No one can speak through it. This is a speaker, a genuine speaker, because if someone is in the main panel, they can actually speak to the occupants through this device. So this is a speaker visual. Horn strobe is also a name for these, but those are relegated to the non-addressable system. So if there were a fire, this will announce, it'll make the noise, and it'll set off the visual signal announcing to the occupants of the building that there's a fire or there's a potential fire. You have also supervisory devices. They supervise certain aspects of the fire alarm system. Those don't set the fire alarm system into an alarm, but it indicates that the system won't be operating as it should. But we can show you, we can show those in a different video. But I just wanted to alert you to initiating device, announcing device. Those are the two key components of a fire alarm system.